When we hear the words South Pole or North Pole, we often imagine vast white landscapes, snow, and towering ice mountains. However, these two poles are quite different from each other. While they may share some similarities, their differences are even greater. For example, one is a giant sea while the other is an icy land. One supports human life, while the other is devoid of it. Furthermore, only one has significant ozone depletion, and their temperatures also differ markedly. The first attempt to explore the North Pole was made by William Barrie in 1827. Many years later, Ralph Plaisted reached it by snowmobile in 1968, followed by Willie Harbert the next year. As for the South Pole, it was first approached by the Norwegian Roald Amundsen. Captain Scott and his team tried to reach it, but only got within 60 kilometers before running out of supplies and succumbing to the harsh weather. Eventually, Scott reached the South Pole in 1911, but tragically died on his way back due to hunger and lack of supplies. These attempts highlight the stark differences between the poles. Let's talk about wildlife. If I asked you which animals live at the poles, you'd likely say penguins and polar bears. Many people believe they coexist, eating fish and living in harmony. This is completely incorrect. They've never met because they live on different continents. Penguins in the South Pole and bears in the North Pole. Polar bears are the largest predators in their environment. The easiest way to distinguish between the two poles is by their terrain and nature. The North Pole is a frozen ocean without land, while the South Pole is a large landmass surrounded by water, known as the Antarctic continent. The North Pole isn't considered a continent due to its lack of land. Both poles have ice, but their temperatures differ greatly. The South Pole is much colder because of its high elevation above sea level. Most of the continent is about 300 meters above sea level, and as elevation increases, temperature decreases. The South Pole also has thick layers of ice and mountain ranges. In contrast, the North Pole lacks mountains, plateaus, and thick ice layers and is nearly at sea level. This results in South Pole temperatures plummeting to 98 degrees below zero, compared to the North Pole's 40 degrees below zero. Ice precipitation is abundant in the South Pole, but rare in the North Pole, which is why life thrives in the North Pole, but is absent in the South. Many wonder about the importance of the poles. They play a crucial role in stabilizing the Earth's atmosphere, acting as significant climate regulators and helping reduce temperatures in hot regions. Due to global warming and climate change, the ice is shrinking, causing climate fluctuations that are noticeable today. The North Pole holds substantial economic significance. While it isn't owned by any country, it shares borders with Russia, Canada, Norway, the United States, and Denmark. These countries have interests in the region because it contains approximately 62 trillion cubic meters of natural gas and 10 billion tons of oil. For instance, 11% of Russia's national income comes from the Arctic, which provides 90% of its nickel and cobalt, 60% of its copper, and 96% of its platinum. About 26% of Russia's exports come from the Arctic, which explains the conflicts between Russia and the US over exploration rights, despite international treaties. And that's a wrap on our exploration of the poles. Their differences are as vast as the icy expanses they cover. If you enjoyed this video, you can also watch The Truth Behind the Bermuda Triangle. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more intriguing content. Drop your questions or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.